I, 31F, have asked my grandmother, 77F, to stop talking about politics around me. She's constantly pushing my boundaries. The title pretty much says it all. My grandmother and I have similar political views, but the big difference is that she wants to talk about politics 100% of the time. It's becoming an echo chamber. When she speaks about politics, she gets angry and defensive, even though I share her political views. I am so tired of hearing it all the time. So I put my foot down. I told her I was done talking politics with her. For her part, the topic has come up less, too. The problem is that she keeps pushing my boundaries. I have told her again and again that political discussions also include politicians themselves, etc. When I reinforce my boundaries, she gets defensive and says things like, "Man, you need help. There's something wrong with your reaction here." Or she'll start to throw a pity party and say things like, "You never want to talk with me. Every time I try to say something, you rush out of the room." Granted, I am no angel here. For example, she brought up a politician who is facing charges over his handling of the pandemic. I immediately said in a loud, firm voice that I don't give a fuck. Bad move, I know. I should have said I don't want to discuss this with you. I think the result of her being offended would have been the same, but possibly less intense. We have sat down and spoken about this before. I have told her that I don't want to discuss these topics with her, that I don't like her reaction when we discuss these topics, that she needs to respect my boundaries, etc. She asks me why I don't want to talk about politics with her and I give her an honest answer each time. Sometimes I have to cool down and collect myself before I can speak earnestly, though, but each time she bends that boundary she will revert to, "Why are you like this?" It makes everything I have tried to express and share feel meaningless. I feel like she doesn't care about my boundaries and I am at my wit's end. I am tired of having this turn into a fight. I did come up with a solution to just end the conversation by saying, "I don't want to discuss this with you," rather than reacting strongly like I did with our most recent argument, but I am unsure how well this will work. She has a tendency to fight for the final word and she follows me from room to room to keep the conversation going. Any advice on how to handle this situation is appreciated. Too long didn't read. My grandmother does not respect my wishes about discussing politics. I have tried to express my reasons and feelings to her, but it never sinks in. Edit, just did some quick introspection and I was being dramatic in the title. She has gotten better with her pushing and it isn't constant. We just had a big blowout and I was letting that color my wording as I created the title. Second edit, thanks for the feedback, folks. I am taking it under consideration and I appreciate the varying insight I have received. You could alleviate her emotions a bit and let her know, "Hey grandma, honestly we agree on politics but it really upsets me constantly hearing about this. It's not just a you thing, can we talk about this less please?" And you can also get her into the habit of asking for permission to talk about certain subjects. She could say, "Hey op, I saw something that upset me a bit on the news. Are you okay to talk about it?" And make it clear if you say no she is not to get salty. Reading between the lines you seem close to your grandma. So I hope this will help. If this doesn't help and she just refuses to accept boundaries, as others said, you might have to interact less. Also be aware with old age, especially with some onset diseases like dementia, it becomes difficult to impossible for the elderly to remember and to abide by regular boundaries. So be cognizant of that too. If she's finding it impossible to stick to the boundaries, there's really a small possibility that it is impossible for her. If she's going on circular tangents over and over again, she needs a doctor to evaluate her for cognitive issues. If she's completely healthy and fine, she should be able to negotiate boundaries with you on this. Let her know it comes from a place of love and a necessity for you to be calm and get through your day. When you talk about politics, you are angry and defensive. I am not going to participate in those conversations. Then you get up and leave. Repeat every time. If you don't like the way a person treats you, interact with them less often. You're an adult. You have that choice. And don't break out, "Oh but I have to because she's my grandmother." So what? She's also an adult and can deal with the consequences of her actions. If you're not willing to do anything about the way people treat you, then you give them permission to continue to treat you that way. Right? Here's the thing. She will push and push, but you walk away. We've talked about this. I love you, but we have differing opinions. Either you can have a relationship with your granddaughter, or lose me because you can see I'm an adult with my own political stances. She's also old. Not that it's a full excuse, but something to consider, seeing as dementia can have some out there reactions. GF, 42, is starting IVF and I, 35, don't want to be a dad. I have been dating a 42-year-old woman for 1.5 years, and we have just started the experiment of living together temporarily for the last 1 month. When we met, she told me she had just decided to put her process of IVF on hold to see if our relationship would work out. I told her that I did not have immediate goals to have a child, but perhaps in the future it is something that could come up. Fast forward to now, after having our relationship continue to grow, and giving it a chance to try living together, she has told me that she will be starting IVF in 2 months. Starting IVF after a family trip with her parents. I am incredibly uncomfortable, as she has told her friends and family she is starting the IVF before I was made aware, and I am now to be forced to interact with them. I am considering not going on the trip because of the awkward situation I am to be put in surrounding this. We did not discuss the IVF, but she has moved forward with this decision without my input. I told her I am not ready to be a father and that I do not know what to do, as I really care about her and don't want to end the relationship. I am torn, as I don't see it would be appropriate for me to continue in the relationship, and I also feel guilty for leaving her as she chooses to do this now. I realize there is a chance it may not work, but I think it is ethically wrong to stay with her with the hope it does not work out. I also don't think it would be right to stay with her without the intent of raising a child that she may have. She is really sad as I am, and she is trying to convince me that we can stay together and that the child would be hers, but I don't believe that is appropriate either. I don't see any other option but to end the relationship, but am just looking for any advice on how something like this may be navigated. It is really overwhelming. Too long didn't read. GF is starting IVF without my support. Why is this hard? You leave. She wants kids and is 42. Honestly, it was silly of you to try to kick the can down the road considering her age from the get-go. You should have walked then, and sure as shit should walk now. She's getting to the age where having a child is already going to be pretty difficult. Women only have a finite number of eggs. She flat out biologically does not have time to wait for you to be ready. She put things on hold for you, but ultimately, she had this goal/plan before she had you. She didn't ask for your input because she's not willing to potentially lose her ability to ever conceive while you decide what you want. The only option is to move on. This was on the cards when you met. She wants her own biological kids. She has to do it now. She should do IVF as planned and you should leave. This seems pretty clear-cut to me. She wants to have a child so badly she's going through IVF and you don't want to be a father. Break up. My 23F boyfriend, 23M, told me he likes his friend. My boyfriend and I have been together for 5 years exclusively. We tried an open relationship style because it was something he was interested in, but stopped immediately because it wasn't something I could handle. He has been hanging out with his co-worker, 21F, for the last month about once a week. At first I felt indifferent towards it, but have since started to feel uncomfortable about it. Last night he told me he enjoys spending time with and being around her, but is unsure if he actually has feelings for her. He asked me if I wanted him to stop hanging out with her, to which I responded with a resounding yes. This afternoon we spoke about it again, and he told me he still wants to hang out with her, and is going to do so despite knowing how I feel about. He said that he has no interest in letting his feelings develop further, and says that if he believes it will threaten our relationship, he will end it. He says he enjoys having her as a friend as they have things in common. He spent an hour on the phone with me today reassuring me that I'm his #1 priority, and that he loves and wants a future with me. That this is not worth being upset over. My main issue is if I should trust him and be okay with him hanging out with her, or put my foot down and break up with him for doing something that will hurt me. I am aware of how silly I must sound when I say this, but I know without a doubt that he won't cheat on me and that his love and feelings for me are solid. What I'm afraid for is the future. If he develops actual feelings for her, and they get reciprocated, what will happen then? Too long didn't read. My boyfriend said he enjoys spending time with his female friend, and despite me saying I don't want him to hang out with her anymore, he says he will continue to do so because that's his friend and he doesn't think it will become serious. He said that he has no interest in letting his feelings develop further. That's not a thing. He can't keep hanging out with her with the same frequency and expect to be able to control whether or not he has a crush. It's just not how feelings work. While I think it's pretty normal to sometimes develop a little crush on a friend and then have it subside, my crushes tend to have about a 2-week lifespan, a month at the outside. The subsiding part only happens if you let the crush take up less space in your life. As you/devilishly advocate said, the biggest problem is that he's going out with her instead of you. Of course you're not okay with that. I don't think you sound silly at all. This isn't a friendship or a work colleague situation that you've just randomly taken the hump about. He's admitted he has feelings for her. Ask yourself, how would he react if you said to him, "Hey boyfriend, there is this guy I have a crush on. I want to continue to hang out with him even though I know this is hurtful for you. I have no idea where this crush is going to go, and by revealing this I'm knowingly leaving you to imagine all sorts of horrible things, but don't worry, you can trust me to be considerate of your feelings and stop seeing him if my feelings do get out of hand. Even though I haven't been particularly considerate of your feelings so far, by seeing this person I don't have any obligation to see socially. We just have so much in common. Isn't that great? But don't worry, I'm going to spend the next hour on the phone convincing you that we have a future and I love you. Even though I've admitted to having romantic feelings for someone else and I refuse to break off contact even though I have a history of pressuring you into an open relationship. You think he would stand for that? I imagine he would not. I think deep down you know this isn't right and that you don't have the faith in him you claim to. In the same paragraph I know without a doubt that he won't cheat on me and that his love and feelings for me are solid. And then a sentence later say if he develops actual feelings for her, and they get reciprocated, what will happen then? Why are you putting yourself through this? Do you think this is all you deserve? So, he's gonna start dating this other girl. This is what's happening here. If someone tells you that you're a priority, but they show you that you are not, which one should you believe? I'm doing X which I know will hurt you. Should I stop doing it? Yes, duh. Okay. I'ma keep doing it anyway though. I only told you cause I wanted your approval, but I'm not going to stop just because it hurts you. My adventures are more important than your well-being. How does that sound now? He spent an hour on the phone with me today reassuring me that I'm his #1 priority. Obviously this isn't true since he refused to respect your valid boundary and do whatever the fuck he wants with a girl he has feelings for. He is kidding himself with this he will control his feelings for her bullshit. That's not how it works. He has already crossed a very visible boundary in your relationship, disrespected your feelings and put his romantic feelings for her ahead of your concerns. He should be dumped for that, no questions asked. You deserve much better than this idiot. Also, you are contradicting yourself with this. I know without a doubt that he won't cheat on me and that his love and feelings for me are solid. What I'm afraid for is the future. If he develops actual feelings for her, and they get reciprocated, what will happen then? You know he wouldn't cheat, and yet you're worried. You're worried because you know in your gut that his behavior is not okay, it's selfish and inconsiderate towards you. You know that there is a chance he might cheat. You're just trying to make yourself feel better and rationalize it by doing your best to convince yourself that you can trust him. He showed you you can't trust him, you already aren't his #1 priority. Stop doing this to yourself.